What's going on YouTube? Today we're going to continue with some more borrowed chord teaching. This past Saturday I had a chance to play at a worship event, and we went into the song, it's a hymn, Jesus, Jesus, there's something about that name. A great song to play, but also to expand your vocabulary. It has a lot of good, just that churchy vernacular, I say, in it. So we were in the key of C, so we were just playing in the key of C. So we got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So the song, I'm gonna play it first, and then we can explain the different nuances in there. Jesus, 2 times. Jesus, Jesus, there's just something about that name. He's Master, Savior, Jesus, like a fragrance after the rain. Jesus, 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 let all heaven and earth proclaim that kings and kingdoms, they will all pass away, but there's something about that name. Great song, a lot of chords in there. So to start out, Jesus on the 1, then you do a major 7, 1 major 7. Then you go to a minor, a 5 minor 7. So G. So, right, I'm playing a regular, just 5 minor, but I throw an F in there too. And sometimes I just throw it in down there. So a 5 minor 7. Now, if you're familiar with that, like the different circle of fifths, usually when you play a minor 5, you kind of go like for ease of movement, or sometimes you play like that. But that's 5 to 1. But in this case, we doing Jesus. So we just doing minor 5 minor 7 to 1 major. There's just something to the 4, and then about, now it's a few ways you could look at this next chord. To help me remember it when I was learning this song, I just looked at it like a 4 minor over a flat 7, where you got to throw that 6 in there too. So it's a 4 minor 6, the churchiest chord you can hear, because it's used a lot in gospel. But so 4 minor 6 over flat 7. That name. Now I went straight to the 1, but usually we would do some type of 3 6 2 5 right there. But let's keep it simple. Let's just do it like that. And then it's Jesus. I mean Master, Savior. And now this is it goes all dominance to the 1 G, and then you just go down chromatically da, 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 to the 6. Like a fragrance, 2 major after the rain. So let's explain that part again, because I want to get into the borrowed chords. So as of yet, we haven't had any, I believe, in that first part. Jesus, Jesus, there's just, oh yeah, we did. My bad. Let me go back. Jesus, Jesus, we're at the beginning. G. This is a borrowed chord. So where are we borrowing from? Are we borrowing from a foreign key or from a relative key? So let's see. So G minor 7. This will be in the key of, we can look at it like we're in F major. We're just going to use F major because it's relative to C. So we are borrowing from a closely related key. So we're playing the 2 of F when we do that. And your 2 always takes you to 5. In this case, our minor 5 is going to take us to 1. 2 takes you to 5, 5 takes you to 1. So we're just borrowing, so here we go. Jesus, Jesus, G. So I'm in F for a minute. So just look at like 2 to 5, and then da da da. It's taking me to F. So it's like a 2 5 1 in F for that pass. About, and now we going borrowing again from another key. So if we look at this, like I told y'all, I look at this like a 4 minor 6 over a flat 7. But if we thinking about borrowed chords, that's really like a B flat dominant 9. So what scale would that be in? It's not in F, so now we got to go somewhere else. We could say E flat. So if we look at it like we in E flat, C major is parallel to C minor. So C minor will have that in it, because it's, remember, C minor and E flat are not inharmonic. They are relative minor, relative major. So the same scale. So C minor and E flat share the same notes. So this would appear in that. So now we are borrowing from a foreign key, because remember in one of my other lessons how I said a closely related key is one flat or sharp away from the key signature that you're in. So C having no flats or sharps, the first flat key you would go to would be F, and the first sharp key you would go to would be G. So being that we're borrowing from E flat that has 3 flats, is not a closely related key. It's a foreign key to C. So now when you play this chord, you're borrowing from E flat. Then where do we go after that? I think the 3 6 2 5. But let me just play it all over. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. There's just something about that name. So then, Master, Savior, and then G. So this is like borrowing from F again. I really don't want to look at these like borrowed, but they are. I mean, you're adding them, so you can look at them like borrowed chords. So because we're doing a C dominant 7, C dominant 7 is the 5 of F. So we're borrowing from F. You can almost look at all of these like 5s, because you're going down chromatically. So 5 of F, 5 of E, 5 of E flat, 5 of D. So you're just thinking of 5 to 1, 5 to 1. So, and then I'm ending on this major 6 in C, but it's going to take me to a D. So back to 5 to 1. So it's actually taking me to D major, like a fragrance after the rain. So let's do that part again. Master, Savior, Jesus. So Jesus, like a fragrance after the rain. So where are we at now? Jesus again. Jesus. This is the 3rd time now. G, kind of like the first time. So now it changed right here. Let all heaven Now, half diminishes. Anytime you play a half diminish, you're borrowing from you have to look at that like the seven of a major key that you're playing. So because remember, let's look at the key of C real quick before we get into that. You have C, D, E, F, G, A, B. You have a major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, and then diminish is the seven of a major scale. If the triad of the seven triad of a major scale is a diminished. So when you add that, when you put the seven on top of that diminished, it becomes, you can look at that like seven half diminished or a seven minor seven with a flat five. Anytime you come across that chord, you're borrowing from the scale that chord would be the seven of, the seventh degree. So now let's go back to this song now. What is it? Jesus, 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 let all heaven. So we're playing a F sharp. F sharp is the seven of G. So I'm borrowing from G major. Is G major a closely related key to C? G major is the fifth of C. So yes, it's a closely related key. So we're borrowing from G major with that one. So let all heaven and earth, another half diminished. So you really just in the key of C now. So that puts you back in the key of C, even though it does have a funky tone to it. But that's how that diminished, it plays with your ear like that. But let all heaven and earth proclaim. So I usually do a suspended, but you can play a dominant three. So that right there, you're borrowing. You can say you're borrowing from A minor, which we kind of in A minor, we in C major, relative minor. So I would say we're in. You're borrowing from A minor, but you also, when you see this next chord, then I would say we're borrowing from A. But it just depends on the note you're going to. That will really determine like where you want to say you're borrowing from. But it really doesn't matter as long as you play in the right chords. But let all heaven and earth proclaim. So three major, and then sometimes I might do a diminished. The kings and kingdom. So because we're playing a major six with a flat nine, so that's an A dominant seven with a flat nine, or 6 dominant seven with a flat nine. Because it's a major chord, then we would say we were playing 5-1 in A major instead of A minor. Kings and kingdoms, they will all pass away. Then we're going back to this chord again. So like we're borrowing from E flat, but there's something about the name. So that last part, that was the only borrowed chord we added. So kings and kingdom. Right there, it's like when you, so let me explain this too. The E, the major 3 to this, it's like playing 5-1 in A major. I'm just adding this flat 9, but it really king and kingdom, because I would usually do that. But just to remember it, 5-1 in A. Now when you get to this A, you got to almost look at that like you're going to D minor now, because they will all. So now you borrowing from the key of D minor when you get to this note, especially when I throw this in there, because that's the 5-1 to D minor. They will all pass away. E flat major, borrowing from E flat major. That's a B flat dominant 9. but there's something about the name. So yeah, I would definitely learn that song in all your keys, not just C, because I mean it opens you up in all these different keys, especially that start with the uncomfortable ones. Guys, I laid all the chords out. I'm gonna just say this song all the way through. 1 major 7, 5 minor 7, 1 4 minor 6 over a flat 7, and then it repeats. So that name. Now the second pass, he's master. 1 major 7, 1 dominant 7, and then chromatically down to the 6 of the key you're in. Like a fragrance, 2 dominant or 2 major. To 5. Jesus again. 1 major 7, 5 minor 7, 1. Now flat 5 half diminished to a 7 half diminished to a 3. You could say 3 major or 3 dominant 7. Six suspended 4 to a 6 dominant 7 flat 9, and sometimes you can go to this note too. Just throwing those different degrees in there. They will all 2, like a 2 minor 9 to a flat 7 dominant 7 or dominant 9. Or how I said, look at it like a minor 4 minor 6 over flat 7. That's another way to look at it. And then you play same chord, but just go to the 2 in the bass. But there's something. So that over something, I'm playing like a F major over G to a C over G, or I should say 4 over 5 to 1 over 5 to 1. And that's the whole song.